Alright, so this is something I was going to do a while ago that I totally forgot about. Uh, Shaky hand camera footage, because, well, bench is still all messy as shit. Uh, so yeah, basically, I saw AVE's video on his theory that a laser could be used to trigger these basically temperature sensitive sprinkler heads. Um, they just use a little glass ampule of, well, some mix of alcohol and dye, and based on the mixture, or I think possibly on the size of the air bubble inside. I feel like I recall that being a thing that determines the temperature at which it'll actually go off. So these red ones are for 93 degrees Celsius, and these ones are for oh no, sorry, red is for 68, green is for 93. I could have also gotten a blue ones, which were, I think, like 140 some degrees Celsius. I can't imagine those would be used a whole lot. You think, well, yeah, I figure you'd want them to go off fairly quickly. This broke off while trying to undo this. So basically, the way it works is, I mean, when that heats up, this will eventually shatter, and the water pressure will cause this little brass plug and O-ring with a little hole in it that the end of the ampule sits in, just like so. Basically that shatters, water pressure pushes this out, and you just have a fairly nice opening, and then this is to spread it out. So yeah, basically I need to, hopefully some point today, go get the appropriate sized fittings. Basically I'm going to just find some tube or something that this will thread into, PVC, just make a small reservoir, pressurize it up to like 100 and some psi, that way there's some decent force to push it down, and then it's not immensely powerful, but I have a Wicked Lasers Spider 3. It is a nice blue 1 watt laser. It's pretty good. They have like 2 or 3 watt ones now for the same price I paid for this years ago. But still going strong. Don't use it a whole lot. I've got a little tripod mount. Like a tripod mount, but just a tripod to hold it. Basically to steady it. And I'm just going to try and set this up at a decent distance to see if it'll actually go off. The problem I'm foreseeing with this is that cheap, powerful lasers are going to be blue. And blue is more of a rectangular shape. Just the way it works, blue lasers are significantly cheaper, but they don't have as tight of a beam. If you had some sort of collating lens, then you could focus it to a certain distance. And these guys do actually make one that could go on the end of this. And you could fine-tune it to get a nice small point. Basically, the further you are away with a blue laser, it's going to spread out a lot more compared to a green laser. The problem is, for the $400 you can buy a 3 watt now blue laser. You'd be looking at maybe $500 for a 750 milliamp green laser, which will be a nice focused tight beam, but it won't be quite as powerful. Of course, the tightness of the beam might make up for that, and help you to actually burn stuff and whatnot from a distance. Someone suggested an infrared laser. That would work quite well. Basically, green lasers are so expensive because they have to take infrared and convert it and make sure no infrared energy gets out. That's why you want to avoid cheap eBay green lasers, because they'll have a lot of, most likely, infrared light coming out of it that can blind you without you knowing it, and won't be filtered out by green laser goggles. But yeah, I think I haven't really looked into infrared lasers in terms of portability and whatnot. The main issue with that, of course, is seeing it. So you'd have to break up some sort of optic sight system. So yeah, I'm going to set up some sort of method of just basically holding these with some water pressure and suspending them slightly, and then try and maybe even just from like 15-20 feet away, shine the laser at it, see if you can get it onto the actual little ampule inside there, and then see if the glass is dark enough to actually go off, like the color inside of it. It's fairly translucent, so I'm not sure quite how well that would work. I had wanted to grab the blue one because it is darker, and I had wanted to get more than 2 of each of these, but I couldn't really afford it at the time. So I think the plan was to do some of them indoors at a close range, just as a proof of concept, and then do a couple of them outdoors. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. I might save one of them as just like a test with the lighter for proof of concept, but maybe we will take one of these ones, set it up somewhere, and see if it will go off with the laser at all, just to give that a test first of all. I think that's a good idea. I'll go with the higher temp one. Okay, so this here's the setup. I've got the laser set up right over here on just a server and garbage can, and then I've got the actual fire extinguisher thing way over there. Well, it's really not that far, 6 or 7 feet in the distance. I'm just going to try and focus on that, and then yeah, I'm just doing it in the garage where it's easy to clean up tiny bits of glass from the ampule, and we'll see how it goes. So I'll set up the camera, maybe try and do a second one for slow motion, something like that, and we'll see how it goes. Okay, so I've got this here set up, and I'll just try and aim the laser. I'll just go right for full power. Actually, I'll start on false. I think that's good. And we'll just see. Okay, so the idea of having this camera kind of looking at it didn't really pan out from that distance, just due to the brightness of the laser. So now I'm just going to focus it again. You gotta be careful for all the reflections. Okay, that should be right on there. And if I turn this light off, actually, you should be able to... you can't quite see the beam on camera. Okay. So I've just got that sitting there. And then let's... Yeah, unfortunately, you're not really going to be able to see much of anything. But it looks like, to me, not much is happening. So I'm going to reset from a closer distance. Okay, so here I've got it at a much closer distance. We'll try and focus it right on there. It's going to go down to the lower power to do that. Okay, so that is just right on there, pretty point blank. And we'll see how long it takes to do anything, if it will. I did feel the glass previously, and it wasn't really warm to the touch at all, so I'm going to leave this running while I grab my glasses for a closer try. Okay, so I've got my dark orange laser glasses, and we'll have a look. It was slightly warm. I'm basically going to take it point blank here. Make sure it's aimed nice and strong on there. And hopefully we'll see something. But I'm thinking the liquid just isn't dark enough, at least for the 1 watt blue laser that I have. I would like to get a like a 3 or 4 watt one at some point, but that's just not in the cards right now. Thermal imaging camera would be nice too, but I don't have that kind of money. I don't know if you'll really be able to see much, but if I go ahead and put these on, I was kind of hoping you'd be able to tell that the laser is pretty much dead on there. Gonna go ahead and kill that. It's maybe at, oh, sorry. Come on. This is maybe at like 28, 30 degrees, something like that. Really not impressive at all. I'm going to go ahead and just go super point blank, I guess. So I'm not sure if I'm going to really be able to get it much closer than this. Oh, okay, let's go ahead and turn it on. I'm recording, right? Yeah. Strobe. Power. And so that's maybe 6 inches away now. It's dead on the tube there. But it looks like this whole thing might actually just be busted already. I was hoping to set it up at a decent distance. Maybe if I had the focusing lens. I can't remember how much that thing is. But I think the liquid is just letting too much of the actual laser energy through. Got some black plastic here. I'm just going to see if it... There's some black paper, if there's any... Yeah, see, it's not an issue of the laser not being strong or anything. So you see, if I hold it up to some black paper, even just like fairly loose on my hand, that's pretty good, so. Yeah, this isn't even getting up to, say, 30 degrees. So I think that the liquid in there just doesn't let out nearly enough light, or it doesn't collect nearly enough light. It just reflects it all, or refracts it all. So yeah, maybe if you had something a few times as powerful. This honestly doesn't even feel like it's 30 degrees right now, though. Yeah, that is a little disappointing, to say the least. However, I do want to replicate what we're looking for here. So I'm just taking a little bit of that black paper, putting her on there, and that should suck up the heat quite nicely. Alright, so final go, trying to force the outcome we want. 1 watt laser onto the fire extinguisher thing, with some black paper on there. That should suck up the heat quite nicely and hopefully warm the whole thing up enough if it doesn't just burn through the paper too quickly. The paper isn't burning, so hopefully it's actually soaking up some of the heat. Okay, well, I think that's pretty definitive. Even with a piece of black paper on the actual tube to try and absorb the heat. Maybe it's just dissipating it too much through the brass. If it is alcohol, it would be probably quite good at dissipating heat. Yeah, that's not what I was expecting. This is the lower temp one, only 68 degrees needed. I kind of thought this would pop pretty fast. And just to prove this laser is actually quite good, we're going to go ahead and slightly deform this measuring tape. And yeah, you can... Oop. Yeah, you can kind of see the smoke coming off of that. And yeah, it's tuned to there, no issue. So yeah, apparently these things, not so trivial to try and sabotage, at least while using a 1 watt laser. Maybe if you had something a little more substantial it would work. Maybe it's something I'll follow up later. I do want a more powerful laser. Maybe find a cheap eBay one, or you know, leave that up to someone with a little more disposable income. So yeah, that's so much for that. And in the interest of being thorough, just to make sure I don't have some sort of weird defective unit, I've got my hot air gun set to 350 as per normal. Let's see how she does. Actually, I think these might have been the higher temp ones. I can't recall now. Anyways. Yep. So that right there worked perfectly fine. Maybe should have contained it a little more. Oh well. So yeah, that pops quite vigorously. Then the end is free to come out. Little bits of glass here and there. So yeah. Here's a little something interesting that I noticed while looking on eBay for burning lasers to see what there is for cheap stuff. If you look at the pictures for the Arctic Spider 3, you'll see a few characteristics that are quite defining. The heat sinks on the front, the texture grip with flat spots, the screw cap, it has a button on the end of it, this sort of shroud thing. Let's see if I can see a picture of like the back end of it. There we go, you can see the button on the back. There's something remarkably similar available on eBay. Yeah, it's got the same shroud design and everything. It's got the flat spots, the texture grip, the button on the back, I'm not seeing the safety lockout pin though. It might just not be visible in the picture, but you see there's a little safety lockout pin. Come on. There's a little safety lockout pin there, which I don't see in these pictures. But the rest of it looks practically identical, except for the fact that it uses smaller batteries. It also appears to come with some cheaper glasses and whatnot. It comes with all of these different ends, which Wicked Lasers, they have an expanded lens kit that have various effects, which I have. And so it just uses the 2.5 size, but yeah, that looks different there, but it does look remarkably similar. So I'm curious. I haven't heard anything. I thought, from my understanding, Wicked Lasers had developed the product. I thought Wicked Lasers had developed the product basically from scratch, so I'm not sure if it's a case of another company getting a hold of these machined parts, or if it really is just basically rebranding a product. I couldn't find anything with a quick Google search. It'd be interesting to get my hands on it, but it's almost $100. The plus side is in Canada. It would be very interesting to get my hands on this and see how the fit and finish compares. Things like the weight and I don't know, maybe do a teardown on it. Honestly, at this point though, I mean, I don't have a big enough audience to justify risking, what was a $500, now $200, still US though, laser. I don't think I would want to go tear down my nice good one or spend the nearly $100 on it. But it does look remarkably similar in the pictures, so yeah, that's I don't know, that's interesting. Yeah. Where's the power? I don't think they have... Yeah, they don't have the lights in there either. So they don't have the lights or the power button. Oh. So yeah, they don't have the power button, or do they have the power button on the back? It does have some indicator lights, so you can see on this one, right there on the shroud, that this does not have. How about the power button? I'm not seeing the power button either. Yeah, no, that's interesting. If I could see it for like maybe $50, I'd pick it up and take a look at it. But yeah, not for $90. Not right now. So yeah, maybe Wicked Lasers is just rebranding something, which is not super well known from what I can find. We'll see. Well, maybe.